Good evening and welcome to the September 5th West Perth Council meeting. Just before we call the meeting to order, I would ask council and those in attendance that we take a moment of reflection. Okay, thank you. All right, first item on the agenda then is the, we actually do have an addition. Dan, you want to?
Yep. Thank you, Chair. We're looking to amend the agenda to add section 13.1, a closed session for the purposes of personal matters about identifiable individual and for labor relations or employee negotiations to do with executive committee minutes.
Okay. Do we have a mover and seconder to confirm the agenda as amended? Nicholas and Steve, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda tonight? All right. The consent agenda is there. 3 items: Blue Water permit summary report and the regular minutes from August the 21st. Is there anything there that anybody would like an explanation or want dealt with separately? Okay, a motion that we accept the consent agenda is in order then. Councillor Rose and Deputy Mayor Jankowski, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. The next item, we don't have any public delegations tonight. Under reports, our first item is the building permit fees review. And is Bob doing this one? Yep. Okay, Bob, I'll turn it over to you. You're not turned on, Bob. Sorry.
There we are. Thanks. Red light. Good evening. This is the second quarterly report for April, May, and June of this year. Permits are pretty consistent. Residential and agricultural permits taking up the major share of the permit base. This is the building fees review section, Audrey.
Yeah, permits we dealt with under the consent agenda, I think, Bob. But if
Okay.
there's anything there you want to highlight, by all means.
No, it's pretty
Point it out.
consistent.
Okay,
I'm just
all
gonna
right.
grab my other.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
A slight review, we had BMA consultants in the previous council meeting and reviewed their report. They've made their recommendations. They're attached to our file. Noting that our building permit costs are increasing greater than our income revenue from the permits. We need to build a reasonable stabilization reserve fund, and that is included in the fee calculation based on square footage. This graph shows the cost of the department operating cost compared to operating permit revenues. We did a study in our local chapter area on the size of the stabilization reserves. The recommendation from our consultant was that 100% of the operating revenue should be covered in the size of the stabilization reserve fund. In doing a review of our neighboring municipalities in our local chapter, they're anywhere from 100 to 150 and 200%. We're recommending a 200% value reserve fund for operating in the department, realizing that it going to take quite a few years to get to that level of reserve. We did complete a couple of scenarios with agricultural permits, specifically based on actual applications we have pending right now. One is a robotic dairy barn, 6,287 square meters. The current permit fee for that building would be $114,354. And the inspection times, general administration of the permit fees, plans review came up to a total of about 97 hours for the complete project. That would be a cost input of $14,539 based on our current salaries and benefits. So it would actually be losing about $200 from our permit revenue in that size of permit. So the cost of the new with the new permit fee in place, the total fee would be just over $16,400. So there really isn't a lot of margin between actual costs and what we would realize in the field. So the difference would be about $1,933, which is a 13% increase from our previous fee base. That doesn't even equal 1% of inflation per year since our last fee update. Another one is a very simple one right now, is a 762 square meter beef pack barn. Current fee system would be $2,068. Our new fee system would be $2,292. Estimating 1 hour of general administration, 2 hours plans review, and about 10 hours of inspections. When we look at inspections, we also include travel time between inspections as part of that time allotment. So there, with the new fees, there isn't. It's covering the cost of administration and performance of the department. So with a lot of the smaller permits, those fees will be covered and slowly build the reserves.
All right, questions for Bob on that? And I'm looking at Dan or Jeff or even Bob, after our public meeting at the last meeting, was there any feedback from any of the general public contractors, developers, or anything?
No, we haven't received any comments, positive or negative, on the post fee schedule.
No. Well, I think, you know, if you look at what we're charging now, we're actually losing money on some of the building permits. So I don't think it's a hard sell to say we can't continue without increasing the fees. So
that's correct. One other comment I'd make, I think we're fortunate that through enforcement, we haven't had to dip into those reserves for legal fees or any other type of outside resource. So that is one point where we do need the reserves.
No, point taken. Last call here. Anybody have any questions for Bob? Councillor Mink?
At what point, Mayor McKenzie, would you like my I don't know what the right word is, but the only idea that I had on the bylaw would be to phase it in, these 3 phase-ins to 2024, 2025, and 2026, instead of the short phase-in period that we have for the next 3 months. That we phase it in until 24, and then 25, and then 26 as a phase-in approach. I would like us to consider that, if that might be an option.
No, it's a good point. Bob, do you have any comments on that?
We took a shortened approach to the first component of the implementation. We do have an additional staff person, a plans reviewer that we have is on the books, but we haven't filled that position yet. So the longer we take to initiate the full cost of the permit fees, and by adding that person over the next 4 months, we're going to be further dipping into the taxpayer's base for the building permit operating.
Does that kind of answer your question, Nicholas?
Yes, it answers the question, but I still would suggest
Sure.
a 3-year
Okay.
phase.
All right. When we get to the recommendation, then we'll keep that in mind. Anybody else have any comments on this, or even a comment on Councillor Vink's thoughts on this? Oh, Doug, go ahead.
Just thinking if we delay it though, if we're the next 4 months and we lose $2,000 on the next, every month we have one of those that comes in and we're losing money on it. All of a sudden we're $8,000 in the hole, not just $2,000. So maybe the shorter timeline is because we're already running behind. You know, it's been so long since we've had a raise, and I still think we need to cover the costs of doing, not fall behind.
Yeah, that's immediate priority.
Okay. Councillor Fournier.
It does seem that, oh, sorry, for yourself, your worship, it does seem that fixing this as quickly as possible. Because currently we're subsidizing your department with all the people in town who aren't building anything. Rather than your department being self-funded through building permits, we're having to transfer money over from our reserves. So basically, we're getting building permit money from everyone in town who isn't building a building at the moment by having to pay for your department. Yes, so let's fix that as fast as possible.
I can explain that. The building permit fees are required to cover the cost of inspection and enforcement for those building projects. If somebody isn't building anything, they're not utilizing the department.
But any money that we're taking from one pocket and putting into the building department to top up your reserves or you pay for operation or whatnot.
We haven't discussed financial requirements if we had to take out money from the general tax levy. There would likely be an interest charge to the department on
The building department is supposed to be self-supporting. So if we had a year that it wasn't, and we haven't crossed that bridge yet, but we would have to figure out what we were going to do. So this is kind of like being proactive before we get there, I would guess. Dan, go
If I
ahead.
may, I would just add, Councillor, perhaps for clarity is that the reserve that's been drawn on is the building department's reserve thus far. So that reserve is still in place. So the general taxes, as you spoke, haven't been utilized at all yet. And that's what Bob was speaking of. If that point came there, we haven't discussed it, but there may be interest in Wendy's, maybe.
Sorry, but it is projected to be down to 0.4% by next year. So if we do a 3-year phase in and it's expected to be at 0.4% reserve level next year, then the 2 years after that, we're going to be, well, your department's going to be out of money, right?
Correct. We're always going to be behind until that reserve is built to be able to allow the department to flex. We do have some larger projects that are coming online as well that realize an increase in permit fees. So the more expedient we are with getting our fees established and setting up those timelines, the better off the department is.
Deputy Mayor Tronkowski, did you have a comment?
Oh, I thought maybe Wendy was going to weigh in on the discussion. She was grabbing a microphone there.
You can weigh in, Wendy, if you wish. Oh,
Technology. I think at the end of the forecast of 2023, the reserve has less than $2,000 in it. So heading into a year where it's always, we've kind of drawn out of the reserve, it's definitely going to be a conversation if it can't support itself with the funds. So that'll be a conversation maybe next year when we look at the budget, but it's forecasted that the reserve fund at the end of 2023 will be under $2,000.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. Anybody else want to weigh in on this time? Oh, sorry, Councillor Foster.
The current schedule shows September 1st as the beginning of the new phase in. That date, I presume, is going to change because it's not going to work retroactively. So would it just mean it's effective immediate, or what's the plan for that?
In the one schedule, we had looked at September the 1st, I believe, through the clerk's department, we've looked at initialization October the 1st. In the building code process, where the building code changes, they have a timeline predates the initialization. So if building codes change January 1st, anybody that's in the queue with permit applications before that would meet the old code. The new code doesn't kick until January 1st, and I would propose that option of queuing in October the 1st, just so it's easier to track. But we would initiate October 1st.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All right, I'm going to circle the wagons here again. We did have a comment about lengthening out the term. I do get the feeling though that people maybe want to go the status quo, what was recommended under the consultant to do it in 2 years rather than a 3-year type of thing. So I'm going to read the recommendation. And the recommendation would have in that the understanding that it would be phased in over 2 years. Is that the right terminology? Phased in, yeah, be put in over a 2-year period as opposed to a 3-year period. So the recommendation that we have here is that the Council Municipality of West Perth approve the proposed building permit fee adjustments as outlined in the BMA Management Consulting Inc. report entitled Building Bylaw and Permit Fees Review. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Okay, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Moving on, the next item on the agenda then is our treasurer. And first item is the 2023 variance report as of August the 30th. So Treasurer McMurray, you can take it away.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. Just as a quick highlight, the reports were kind of written in the same, they were written in the same format as the budget. So there's continuity there when you're looking at them. We went through the variance and it looks like the capital's coming in, everything's kind of coming in under budget, which is good. We do have some bigger projects are still on the go, being the bridge. But anyway, everything for the capital is kind of on target. For operating, wages, which is our biggest expense, is trending on target, so that's good. IT software, we recognize that some of the licensing fees were increased. We did account for a $5,000 variance on that, but as the bills have come in, the increases to all those licenses is going to be more than that. So we're expecting it to be about 8,000 over budget. The other one that was kind of noticeably higher was our chemical costs. So we're seeing that both in the pool and water and wastewater. And so, but other than that, the operating expenses seem to be on target with the August spread of the budget. If there's any questions, I'd gladly take them.
Okay, any questions for Wendy on the variance report? Pretty detailed information there. Go ahead, Dick.
Through your worship, I was just wondering what the bridge 030H was. I was rather curious about what that was.
Yeah, so that would have been in the capital budget process, so it's a shared bridge, I believe, that don't even know what Huron County.
I think it's, yeah, well, it's Tucker Smith and Hibbert boundary. If it has the H in it, Andrew, it means that it's in Hibbert. If it's F, it's Fullerton, and L is Logan. So, but it was Huron County, I think, that we were making the deal with. It's actually a boundary bridge between Perth County or West Perth and Huron County. In this case, it's Huron East. By Chiselhurst, if you know where Chiselhurst is. Yeah, well, the bridge is somewhere in there on the side road.
Yeah, they're supposed to start in September.
Yeah, fairly soon, yeah. Any other questions with regards to the variance report? Okay, if not, I'm looking for a recommendation that we receive the 2023 variance report as of August the 30th, 2023. Moved by Councillor Chessel, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on then, the first item here under clerk is the Hawkins Municipal Drain, a request under section 78. So Dan, I'll let you take that away.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council. So before you tonight is as His Worship mentioned, a request for drain improvement under section 78 for the Hawkins Municipal Drain. This is located in Fullerton Ward. And we're looking to move forward with the appointment of an engineer.
Any questions for Dan on that? Okay, I'll read the recommendation then, and we can go from there, that the municipality of West Perth proceed with the request for drain improvements submitted by Douglas Snyder for an improvement to the Hawkins Municipal Drain. That council direct the clerk to circulate the notices required under the Drainage Act, and that council pursuant to the Drainage Act and subject to any objection from Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, appoint K Smart Associates as drainage engineer on a date 30 days from the notice of the UTRCA for the examination of the drainage works and to proceed with the requirements of the proposed improvement under section 78 of the Drainage Act. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Phelps. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, any? That is carried. All right, and the next is the Napier Street improvements and amending removal of the 1 foot reserve. And our CEO is going to take that one.
Apologies, I was having a moment there. No, it's I feel like Mitch McConnell has felt a couple of times in the last few months. Good. I forgot I had a report on council, to be honest. I'm looking at the council agenda thinking, am I really on there? Yes, please, thank you. So wow, okay, good. I'm all ready to present this. So the way we do cost sharing to make sure there's a beneficiary and that there's an equitable distribution of the benefits projects is using the 1 foot reserves. This is an example of the completion of the loop. So the 1 foot reserve was put on, project was built. We were able to, we left the 1 foot reserve in place in order to be able to hold the benefiting non-participating development property to account for the payment of their share. This was all very cooperative, and it does not have to be done in a conflict-oriented way. This was very cooperative, and we've reached a logical point where the project is complete and the benefiting non-participating developer is now going to pay, has paid off their share. And so the next logical thing for us to do is to lift the 1 foot reserve. I do want to mention that we're going to leave the 1 foot reserve on the Campbell Street frontage of this property. When we use 1 foot reserves, we're not allowed to eliminate access to a property. There is access to the property on William Street. The property address is actually 35 William. But so we could lift the Campbell Street reserve But we really put that reserve in more for the purposes of restricting access because now we have the bridge there and there's just a lot happening in that little spot. And those condominiums that were built across the road were built prior to the bridge being built in that location and they back onto the street. And so the homeowners there have, when they park, they back onto the street. So there's already enough happening in that stretch. So that's why the 1 foot reserve's there. In the future, if there was ever development and it was needed as an emergency outlet or entrance, that would probably be logical, but not as a regular access. So I'm recommending that council lift the 1 foot reserve on the Napier Street section as per the recommendation in the report.
Okay, any questions for Jeff on that? I have a recommendation here then that the municipality of West Perth receive the Napier Street road improvements and amending removal of the 0.305 meter or 1 foot reserve information report. We have a mover and seconder for that, Councillor Chessel and Councillor Rose. Last call, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Correspondence, sorry. The title was on one page and the information's on the next page. The only thing that's there, of course, is a letter from Steve Clark, which probably isn't pertinent anymore. Not from Steve Clark, anyways. Minister of Agriculture and Food and Lisa with Lawrence McCauley and Lisa Thompson, increasing dead stock capacity. The last one is maybe something that we could maybe think about, and that's from Lisa Thompson, Minister of Agriculture and Food, excellent in agriculture awards. And I believe there was 11 different categories maybe that you could nominate somebody for. And I don't know if anybody did any thinking over the weekend that you had this information. I was thinking back to earlier this year, we had, I believe, 2 or 3 dairy farmers within West Perth, 2 for sure, wasn't it, Doug? That raced fairly high all across Canada. And I didn't know whether that would be something you would want to keep in mind. We also have some industry that could maybe nominate. I don't know really what the criteria is, but you know, certainly we have Safina and we have Lactalis. We have Rosebank Seed Farms, just to name a few of them that would probably qualify. So it needs to be in, I believe, before we meet again. So it's something that we would have to move on fairly quick. And I'd open it up for comments right now if there's anything there that would strike your fancy. No, we can't nominate Duracell. That doesn't qualify this time. Councillor Foster.
For the promotion one, would someone like Sandy Brockdown, who's in Hibber, because that's what she does with her sheep?
I would think you could certainly nominate. I would think you got support from Nicholas there. So how do you want to handle this, Dan? You want just to take a list of names and then you kind of figure where they would plunk in?
Yeah, I think that's best because we'd have to do it and we can report back to council on what we did.
It would be after the
Suggestions.
fact that you'd report because it needs to be in, I think, before we meet again, doesn't it?
Correct. I
Yeah.
just didn't hear the category that Councillor Foster said there.
For food, like agri-food promotion,
Agri.
but she might also be for women's excellence
Is it? Okay, thank you.
or education, maybe. What's that one? I thought it was on there too. Excellence in agri-food education too, she could qualify for.
Okay, that's a good place to start. We can put it there. And then backing up excellent in food processing. I don't know, you can take your pick or put both down if you wish, I guess. There's another one, Wild Butter, yes, yeah. We only can submit one, Dan, can we? Well, I'm thinking one per category. There'll also be an opportunity maybe at the county to nominate somebody as well, you know. But Wild Butter and Sofina and Lactalis would be probably all under food processing. So probably should pick one and go with that maybe here. Okay. Jeff,
I'll
you wanna
I'll
say something?
second Vink, but I think Doug or Rick was asking Vink to turn his microphone on.
Counselor Vink just mentioned he would recommend Wild Butter.
I'll second his recommendation if that's what you'd like.
Okay. The other comments then, research and innovation, I'm not sure. Certainly women excellence, I'm not sure if you have somebody in mind there. Youth excellence, I'm not sure. Agri-food education, that's what we talked about.
If we're more than one, too, it could be Frank and Heather Luigi with their barn, because they do a lot of good there, having the public out and seeing the cows and everything.
Okay.
And then you could put Sandy Brock and women excellence, if that category is not full, maybe. I don't know.
So where you're looking, why don't you, if you were going to think of Luigi's Family Farm Excellence would maybe be a spot for that,
Could be
wouldn't it?
too. I don't know.
I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, so am I. It's just names I'm thinking of,
Okay,
and then figure out where to put them.
you got that, Dan?
He's hoping, he's trying to spell that last name.
No, I'm okay there. I was just sorry. I was just kind of frantically reading through the application information. So it looks like it's a self-nomination process. So perhaps what we could do is we could issue a letter encouraging these businesses to apply. It doesn't look like we can nominate.
So we don't nominate. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll do that. We can submit all the ones that have been mentioned here and send a letter to them and say, look, you've got a few days left to nominate yourself for this. Okay. Any other comments on that then? Okay. Recommendation then that we accept correspondence as information. Councillor Rose, Councillor Foster, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Okay, down to council reports. The first one is the Mitchell 150th homecoming update. Councillor Phelps, you're doing that one? All right, go ahead, sure. Yeah.
I apologize to council. First of all, I got Heritage and Culture, which we kind of missed, was the Sunday in the Park, April 20th. And Randy Satchel performed at the park, and it was well attended. There's estimated there was 200 plus in the park. And the committee passed the buck for donation and collected over $600, which is very good because the last one was kind of, we parked them as a drive-in because it was drizzling and raining and we didn't want them to have to sit in the rain. So the attendance was a little lower, and the next council meeting will have a report on how the concert at the park went as far as financially. The one I'm doing, it's a homecoming on behalf of myself and Phil. Just an update. We should have done this sooner. In 1999, when I co-chaired, we started in 95, which gave us 4 years. And basically January 2023, this year, we started around my kitchen table and we had 18 months to try and throw this thing together for next year. And now we're getting down to about 11 months and something. So the steering committee consists of myself, Councillor O'Donnell, as a committee of council, and has been time consuming, definite time crunch. We've grown our committee. The steering Committee, who I must give a big hand and a big thank you, which consists of advertising and promotion as Sean and Melissa Snyder's, decorating Jessica Stacy, entertainment Sandra Mackin, finance Aaron Wybrow, fundraising Doug Ait, and the Heritage Committee. So far, I'm chairing myself until I find somebody. The main steering committee has expanded and added committee coordinators as a subcommittee into the steering committee. So we have Steve Walkman, the food coordinator, Sherry Bell's doing hospitality, Steve Glur's looking after the pub night, and sports, we've got AJ Moses, which he is on this thing. So we developed a plan for schedule of events, and one of the challenges was the cash calendar and finding the sponsors, as the Rotary's always done that in the past. And we had discussions with the Legion, and graciously they picked up the full task. They've done the license, they're looking after financing the whole thing, and they've agreed to the profits coming back to the homecoming, which eventually goes to the pavilion. So, which is a great thing. We were able to print 3,300 calendars, which kept us under the $100,000 cap that we didn't have to go through the Lottery Corporation. So between Jeff and myself, we redid the calendar. We got it to the printers. They were able to print us 500 tickets, cut them Thursday, print them Thursday, cut them Thursday, and Friday morning at 8 o'clock, I went down and we had some for the fair, which we sold just a little less than 200. So we got a good jump. And there was lots of people there that we suggested it was a good stocking stuffer for $30 for those in-laws and people you didn't know who to buy for. And I had a guy come back on the Sunday and he said, here's your $120. All the kids got a calendar. So that advertising worked a little bit. So the calendar's been updated, and the ticket stubs we sold, we just told them that the calendars will be printed within 3 weeks, they told us. And they just bring the sub into the municipal office, they'll get their calendar. So people were even balking at it. So so just so you guys know, the calendar is $50 a day, Monday to Friday. This is what they're giving away. $100 Saturday, Sunday. There's 5 draws of $1,500. August the 3rd, the Saturday of homecoming, they'll do the draw from the 10th. It's for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So they're giving away a total of $36,700 out of that. So it's a good little deal. And I thank the Legion for doing that, because we were running out of options, because you have to fully finance the thing to do it. And that's why some of the other service clubs approach us, but they weren't too keen on just footing the whole bill. So last fall, we met with the BIA, Kin Club, Lions Club, and we've talked to the optimists and need to approach the Knights of Columbus, but all of the service club organizations that we've talked to are on board with homecoming and happy to help. The events has been published in the paper, and I just have to give a big shout out to Andy Bader, who's been with us in the background supporting the community as usual, with stories and that. And so we did on the weekend, I sold Mike Uniac ticket number 1, who was co-chair of the 99 and is the incoming chair. And so we got a photo op, and Andy's going to do a story for the cash calendar and talk to the Legion. And so we're in the paper again with a story. So the past weekend we had the homecoming float, which you saw the sign on the back, which is the town signs. We just got those last week, and we'll proceed to put those up in the next month here. We have 4 private landowners that have allowed us at each end of town the access to put the signs up on, because we couldn't get MTO permission. So in events, October, they're working on either this October or next October to do a ghost walk, which is a historic walk of downtown, which consists of some stories, some local folklore, and they're trying to get the drama club involved in the high school. December 30th, we have pre-New Year's Eve dance held at the community center, and we have tickets printed for that now. January 7th, of course, we're going to have the mayor's levy and the opening and ribbon cutting for homecoming 2024. The theme will be 150 years of agriculture in West Perth, and we've been inviting heritage, century, and generational farms. And we've been contacted by some ag businesses that want some space too. So we have the whole community center, the men's room, and the front meeting room booked to fill up and have a day of fellowship. And we'll have coffee and cake and sandwiches and pickles and Black Donnie's agreed to come and as one of our local producers, they're going to be the beer of choice at the bar. So we're welcome everybody to come in, and it's a free event. We have organizations like the Mitchell Pioneer Hobby Association, Perth County Museum, agribusinesses, and I actually got another 6 Century Farms on the weekend. So it was a good run at the fair. The week of homecoming, which is the last part of July into August 3rd, and then Monday, August the 4th being the holiday. So it's a long weekend of 2024. So plans include, we're looking to do sponsored open swims at the Lions Pool for the whoever. Wednesday's a co-ed scramble golf tournament, pickleball tournament, and teddy bear tea. Mark that down, teddy bear tea. And then in cooperation with the BIA, they're going to host several events up in the downtown on the Wednesday night. And then Thursday again is a list of sports event and the hospitality tent, which is 60 by 200. And it will be on the demolition derby track over there. So that's where it'll be. It's booked and we paid the deposit on. Friday's a family geared day. And then, so they're going to have inflatables, bouncy castles, balloon artists, face painting, bedtime story, etc. Sunset yoga at the Mitchell Golf and Country Club. They're going to do a river run. The Lions Club's agreed to do their fish fry on the Friday night at the community center. And we're going to have a pub night that night and utilize the pavilion and put the microbreweries in there. And it will be between the, I guess I should say the whole Ketterson Park is licensed. So they can be in there. Saturday, breakfast, car show, baseball, children's events, ball hockey, supper, barbecue. We'll do the Legion homecoming calendar draw at 8 o'clock. The hospitality tent will be open with bands till 6 is local entertainment. And after that, we have a band book. Sunday, we're doing ball, cornhole tournament, and some lighted sporting events around the tent. And the schedule is subject to change and expand or delete as sometimes circumstances are beyond our control for things that people go broke or whatever. So if someone has something that you'd like to suggest, we're still happy to alter, or we have time to change the schedule. But if we're looking for additional events, we need volunteers now. And if we do additional, we need more volunteers. I talked to Wendy too about our budget, and I said, just get it to me the next meeting. I walked in here and said, Wendy, you should have had a budget amount, but basically of the 10,000, we've spent 7,030.95 to this point. And it was 3,600 deposit for the tent, 2,000 for entertainment, and some advertising is 627. So that's 6,227 of it. So that we're gone through. So we still will have the town sign bill coming and some other stuff. So we'll try and stretch it out until we get a check from the Legion for some calendars. So I'll take any questions or concerns or anything anybody wants to know.
Questions for Doug then? Councillor Foster.
For your Century Farms, where do you get the forms?
For the forms, they provided us a list from the levy they had in, what was that, Walter's night, 2017. And Walter and I sat down and went through the farms that we knew were sold. And I just talked to Hannah tonight, and I'm trying to give her that condensed list that she's going to go through the rest. And we've also found some that were generational or like Century Farms, but it's been through the maternal side. So they weren't, Felts back in the 1840s and now, because they've been all daughters married through that, but there's still the bloodline there. And they're hard to pick up sometimes if you don't know who the family is. So we will have those forms on once we get that list figured out this week. So
That's where my uncle lives, would be a Century Farm. But
Yep.
It's not a registered one as far as I know.
yeah, I think your name's on the list because
Oh.
you've told me already a couple of
Okay.
times. So
But that's just an example because I had some family history. My last name wasn't Foster.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, those maternal ones. So
I think the easiest way is if you think you know, if you know that your farm is a Century Farm, and there will
Email
be, there will be some that we won't know about. I would just suggest you contact Doug or Phil
Yeah.
and let them take it from there.
And Andy did the story in the paper. Did anybody read it? Oh, yeah. He did a whole story on the thing, and there was contact information, and nobody emailed me. So it's basically going to door knocking and asking these, but everybody I've asked and explained what's going on is happy to do something. So yeah, we're going to seal that up this month. We were just busy with the calendar, getting the calendar and getting it done. And now that's our next project. So
Would you like me to bug anyone I know that might have a Century Farm?
sorry.
Would you like me to bug anyone I know?
Yeah, just tell them to contact me.
All right.
My email's on there. So
Okay, any other questions for Doug? The only thought that I had, and you've kind of touched on it, is a budget. You know, and I think we probably need to have something before we get into next year's budget, just, you know, just so that we know kind of where we're headed.
yeah,
you
just
know?
like, I'll just start doing a report
Yeah,
where we
no, that's
are,
fine.
and we've already approved the 10,000 this
Yes,
year. And
yep,
10,000
you've already
next year,
done
so
that, so.
we're, you know, we're working hard to stay in that, but some
Oh,
of
I
it
know.
is that early, you know, signs are a one-time cost and things like that.
Yep.
That's advertising. So it's, and, you know, when you get to the deposit on the tent, like you look at the price of the tent and it's like, I think it was $9,900 for that tent, and they want 4,000 down to seal it up. So, you know, it's $4,000 you put out this year that you're not going to use till next year. So, and you aren't going to get any money in on.
The only other question, and I'm not sure whether you know or not, is there anything happening with the high school or Upper Thames in connection with this?
I've had two people inquire, and I told them what we're looking at doing as a committee is we will book tables for classes in the hospitality tent at this time. And they said, well, we'd really like to do something at the high school. And I said, I'd be happy if you chair that. And they went, no. So again, if someone wants to come forward and take that on, because it's a separate building, it's a separate venue, and it's another group you need to take away for a day somewhere. And we're stretched thin right now as a committee. So we did have a volunteer sheet out at the fair, and I think we had another 8 sign up. So, you know, that's it. We're happy to do it, but we need bodies to do it.
No, I understand that. Okay, any other questions? If not, we do have a recommendation here that we accept, get around here, the wrong one. That we accept council reports. Oh, we're doing them all together. Okay, all right, so that's it for Doug. Dean has a little bit of a report on North Logan Cemetery decoration. Dean?
Well, thank you, your worship. Good evening, everyone. Yes, the North Logan Cemetery Decoration Day was held Sunday, August the 20th at cemetery grounds. It was a beautiful sunny day for the service. So just a list of people that I wish to thank at this time. Starting with Reverend Mark Fraser, who officiated the service. Followed by Steve and Chris Smith, who provided the audio equipment, the power supply, and the music. Very gracious of them to do that. Overall, there was 90 people in attendance from West Perth and the surrounding area. So that was quite encouraging to see a large crowd. I think that was our largest crowd in recent memory. So I wish to thank everyone for their attendance and also for their generous donations that they made towards cemetery upkeep. Just over $2,000 was collected in the offering. So thanks again to everyone who contributed their donation. And I must also take this opportunity to thank our staff for their assistance with organizing and promoting the service. Melanie Riesbeck, our community engagement coordinator, who assisted with advertising and public communications of the service. Our clerks department, Dan Hobson and Audrey, who helped out with printing the program. And Also Treasury Department, Wendy and her staff for receiving and processing the donations. And also Counselor Duck for his help setting up prior to the service, and also committee member Christine Francis for her assistance with preparing for the decoration service as well. So thanks again to all. And we look forward to the service again next year in June of 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dean. Any questions on Dean's report? Okay, now we can approve both reports. That municipality of West Perth accept council reports as information. Moved by Councilor Fournier, seconded by Councilor Foster. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Okay, we have a number of bylaws here. Three, I guess, to be exact. First bylaw 46 is a bylaw to appoint a CAO. Bylaw 47 is to provide for administration and enforcement of the Building Code Act. And bylaw 48 is bylaw to stop up and close portion of public highway that was in the CAO's report. So I do have a motion here that we can deal with all the bylaws together. That the Council Municipality of West Perth give first and second reading to bylaw 46, 47, and 48 this 5th day of September. Do we have, okay, I was
Okay,
gonna take
question?
this side, Council, question, sorry.
I'm sorry, if we pass this bylaw, then Jeff isn't the CAO anymore, but we
This
still.
doesn't take effect until the September the 11th.
Okay, cool.
So you're still stuck with them for a little bit. And I think he'll be around. Okay, moved by Councillor Feld, seconded by Councillor Rose. Any further discussion on those bylaws? So this is first and second reading. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Okay, and the next one is that municipality of West Perth give third and final reading to bylaw 46, 47, and 48 this 5th day of September. We have a mover and seconder for that then. Councillor Foster, Councillor Harold, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. All right, in upcoming events, September the 18th is our next regular council meeting. I'm not aware of any notices of motion. Is there any other business? I'd just like to maybe make a comment on the fair. People that were involved, certainly the homecoming committee, good float, and all the staff and council that worked on the municipal float. I thought it looked quite well. Ian for the tractor and wagon. If we hadn't had the wagon, I'm not sure what we would have done. Anyways, it worked out good. So, and Dan and Phil, I think were you passing out candy too, Phil? No, you were on the other floor.
Doc,
Oh, it was Councillor Duck. He wasn't into the candy. He's not here tonight. But he did pass it out. I'm just making a comment because he's not here tonight. Just wondered if he passed it all out. Okay. Anyways, I don't have any other business, Alex.
I don't know if it's the right time, but I'd like to thank Jeff Brick for his service to West Perth because it's going to be our last meeting with him.
Is this your last one?
The 11th,
Okay.
the 11th is when it says new CAO, and 13th
Yeah.
is our next meeting. So this will be Brick's last one with us.
Good.
Wanted
Okay,
to thank him for his service to West Perth one last time.
very good, very good. Any other comments? Yeah, I think we all feel the same way. Certainly, Jeff's been a great asset to the municipality. I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah, certainly we're going to miss him. Won't have anybody to argue with. No more 5 o'clock phone calls anymore. I'm going to miss that. You can still call me. You want to say anything? Go ahead.
I'll just say thanks and I'll try to get out and help with straw. You keep asking me to help with straw and I had a conflict. I couldn't do it, but I guess I don't have a conflict anymore. So now I can come help with straw. Maybe hay too.
The straw was done in August, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking next year. And on a serious note, I just want to say thank you to council. I've really enjoyed all the councils I've worked with and this one is no exception. And we've done lots in this community and it's the future is very bright and certain things will keep on moving just fine and I'm easily found if you need to chase me down.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. So we do have a closed session. And resolution here is that West Perth proceed in closed session at 8 o'clock for the purpose of addressing a matter related to personal matters about an identifiable individual and labor relations and employee negotiations. Included in that is executive committee minutes. So a motion to go into closed session at 8 o'clock would be in order. Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Rose, all those in favor? Carried or opposed, if there's anybody opposed, it's carried. Thank you. Okay, we're back out of our closed session. We're good? Okay, we're out of our closed session. Council received an update on the August 30th Executive Committee meeting involving matters regarding labor relations or employee negotiations. And the following resolutions are being considered in the open portion of our meeting. That the Council of Municipality of West Perth approve the addition of a full-time permanent recreation and facilities attendant, and that council direct the CAO and the recreation and facilities manager proceed with the recruitment process. We can do these all under one motion, I guess, eh? And that Council of Municipality of West Perth adopt 5.63% as the cost of living rate for the 2024 contracts as per the approved calculation method for determining the cost of living. And that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth endorse 5.63 COLA rate for use by Warden and Upper Grove in preparing a market check recommendations to bring back to the Executive Committee with implementation planned for the first full pay period of 2024. So we'll get that on the floor and then we'll see if there's any questions. So moved by Councillor Phelps, seconded by Councillor Harold. Any questions or discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. And I think that brings us pretty well to the end. We do have bylaw number 50, our confirmatory bylaw, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a first and second time this 5th day of September. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Foster, Councillor Fournier. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And that bylaw 50 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a third time and finally passed this 5th day of September. We have a mover and seconder for the third reading. Councillor O'Donnell. Seconded by Councillor Phelps. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And finally, a motion to adjourn, that we do adjourn at 8:26 p.m. Moved by Councillor Vink, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. All those in favor? Anybody that doesn't want to adjourn? We're adjourned. Thank you.